Hello and welcome back to another Let's Play Planet Zoo. My name is Chris, and this is episode 14 of Perseid's Zoo. In this episode, we begin work on the Timber Wolf Enclosure. Right now you can see me working on a little rock feature here. So this will be our waterfall that's towards the left side of the enclosure here. I kind of wanted to model it after some waterfalls I saw in the Pacific Northwest. So I wanted a powerful looking bit of water, coming down, rushing down through this tall, narrow gorge area that I'm building now. And then I'd also wanted it to be not super heavily forested, but very, very lush in its forest structure, biodiversity. I don't know. I'm sure there's a better word out there than forest structure. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, the water feature here, the little waterfall that's going to be kind of going through, I wanted it to have a feeling that it's maybe not super powerful right now, but it gets rushing, it gets moving. It can haul through here, and that's kind of why this gorge has, or this canyon has developed the way it has, where the water's just kind of completely eaten out this rock formation and made itself a nice little channel. So yeah, this little corner here is really going to be modeled after kind of some waterfalls I did see in Washington. I can't remember their names. You go to visit so many places, and it's like, oh yeah, that one, the pretty one, the waterfall, and I remember that. I have no idea what its name is. I'm bad with names anyway, so. But anyway, yeah, this section here is going to be modeled after Washington, but the rest of the exhibits can be modeled more after like Colorado, Rocky Mountain National Park. So we'll have more like mountain meadows punctuated by little pine trees here and there, and kind of a large rocky mountain to cap everything off. But for just right here, I want this and kind of around the river to feel super lush and super green, similar to what I saw and experienced in Washington State. I like that we have these vertical water features now. It makes making water so much easier in this game, especially these rapids ones. If you remember back in Planet Coaster days, we had to basically sink a bunch of like the fountain pieces. We had to sink a bunch of those to get kind of the water effect a lot of times. So these special effects here with the rapids are very nice. I like them. And I wanted the initial part by the waterfall to feel powerful and rushing and strong, but I didn't want the overall exhibit to have that feel, because I want the Timber Wolves to be able to go around, swim, walk in the water, and it not look absolutely ridiculous. They're in this incredibly powerful torrent of water, and they're just casually doing the doggy paddle. So yeah, we kind of taper off the water here. Yeah, just adding another little waterfall element up here towards the top. I also wanted to make sure that the animals could get up here and kind of walk up around the waterfall, so they kind of could stand up next to it, offer kind of a nice picturesque look and feel. You know, the Timber Wolf walking up the waterfall, the lone wolf up there howling at the moon or something. I don't know. Epic folk music ensues, you know. But yeah, I wanted this exhibit to be pretty large. There's actually going to be parts that you're not going to be able to see from the pathway. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to be putting the little gondola chairlift looking ride up and around or just up and over, but I do want to add some rides to this park, and I wanted there to be we're not going to get to it in this episode, but since I'm just talking about this exhibit altogether, I wanted to have places that would entice you to take that ride. You know, I can't see the top of the mountain unless you take the chairlift, but you can still see the Timber Wolf exhibit, of course. You just won't be able to see all of it. And so I kind of had the thought of, you know, if I make this exhibit nice, big, and tall in an area where you're going to have trouble seeing it from the ground level, then that would be a way to get people to ride the ride, in theory. So right now I'm just kind of creating a rock layer here. I'm putting down a whole bunch of horizontal rock pieces to kind of create the illusion that there's layers in the rock here, rather than it's just a whole bunch of boulders piled on top of each other, so that there's actual layers and changes in the geological formation here, which is of course more lifelike, because you're not just going to have, you know, well, I guess I can't blanket statement, because there are places where you do just have huge boulders protruding out of the ground. Stone Mountain in Georgia. That's a huge mountain, or a huge like boulder protruding out of the ground. But in most places, you're gonna have kind of these rock layers like this. So you'll have, you know, maybe a thicker layer, and then you'll have a couple different rocks tucked in here and there of different, you know, types. I wish we had more diversity, you know, where we put like, this is a limestone rock, this is a granite rock, this is slate. You kind of get that look and feel on the different biomes, but really it's, this rock is mossier than that one, this one's got more dust on it. Down here at the bottom of the waterfall, I wanted to create a little bit of a boulder field to make it look like, you know, as stuff is coming rushing off this waterfall, you know, during heavy rains or really big snow melts, that it all just kind of deposits down here, and it creates this kind of bouldery, rocky shoreline. Again, I wanted to make sure that the Timber Wolves could walk into the water. I wanted to make sure that they had a way to get in and out easily, rather than just kind of the canal I dug out. So going through and creating this kind of rocky shoreline, it also adds a nice little texture for it as well, I think. And now I'm just kind of tucking in some moss where I think it would grow, you know, kind of in the shadowy places, places where sediment would accumulate, kind of these little nooks and crannies here, places that would stay or trap rainwater or trap river water, you know, when it recedes. again, that's kind of just what you would see in nature as well, especially with moss. Moss isn't going to like getting dried out, so it's going to grow in places that will naturally keep water or be naturally cool, moist and damp, because those are going to be the ideal growing conditions for these mosses. And also closer to the water, especially if this has the illusion that, maybe on the 100-year flood, it completely decimates this area. You wouldn't have the big, large trees growing right up next to the water. It's also going to be rocky and inhospitable to most trees, but there would be spots that would catch enough moisture and allow a pine cone to grow into one of these trees here. But at the same time, we want to create the illusion that water can come flying down here at a moment's notice. So maybe trees only get to be 5-10 years old before there's a flood event and it just knocks everything off. So I wanted to create, like, most of the growth down here is going to be young. It's not going to be very established. It gets essentially erased every couple years or every decade or something. So everything that's going to be growing down here is going to be kind of bushy and short compared to what we would have up on the higher ground. Again, lots of ferns. This is going to be a spot that, especially since there's high cliffs here, you're going to have shade most part of the day, so the ferns are going to definitely like that. They're going to like the moist, cool soil down here by the water, especially if this water is coming off of, say, like a mountain or something. That's going to keep the ambient temperature down here much lower, so ferns are going to thrive. You'll have that, cool dampness that they love. And again, this is kind of modeled after down here what I had seen in the Pacific Northwest. Just got lots of ferns, tucking them all into the shaded spots because that's just where they're going to love being. Now, another thing you see kind of on these rivers is a whole lot of debris. So you're going to get a lot of trees that got knocked down further up. You're going to see a lot of large branches, a lot of kind of just flood debris. So I kind of wanted to recreate that here by just kind of throwing things down, different branches from our scenery kits here. Eventually, where that large log that I just placed down is, there's going to be a pathway up there, so the wolves can kind of walk next to that log. We're going to bring the whole terrain up. I mean, it's going to be kind of a amphitheater style, so it's going to kind of slope all the way up towards our eventual mountain. Again, still just kind of throwing down some debris here. Wherever you would see kind of like a rock, something that could catch this this debris as the water kind of flows down. You would usually see some sort of like deadfall or something caught there. I just kind of place some moss around it to kind of simulate, they get snagging stuff on the way down, snagging leaves, snagging plant material. This big log here, throughout Washington State, you'd see these large trees that had fallen over, and ferns would just start growing out of them. Because again, a nice environment, it's gonna, the tree itself's gonna absorb a lot of water, so it's gonna keep it relatively moist, and as it's decomposing, it's just gonna be a nice environment, or nice, I guess, soil environment, maybe you'd call it, for these mosses and ferns that I'm dropping down on it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of emulate that and kind of add a little bit more texture to the log there as well. Now I always forget that these dead trees exist, or I guess they don't call them dead, they call them broken. I'll go through and look at the the branches on the other side, and or in the scenery side of things, and forget that there's these broken trees in the nature section. So I wanted to place them kind of tucked in around here, some bigger ones, just kind of give the illusion that maybe at one time this creek wasn't all it was up to be, and these trees were allowed to grow, and something changed, and now it becomes a rushing torrent every now and again. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to tuck a couple bigger ones in there. Again, they're mostly just tree trunks, so I also figure, make some habitat in for the native animals here, so you get some woodpeckers in with your timber wolves. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, so it's really starting to take shape here. This is base area, shoreline area here. Not sure if this has been fixed or not, but the rocks don't actually correspond to they don't have the tags for temperate, tundra, or maybe it's just my game. Maybe my game's just broken, but so I always have to go through and turn off the tags for whenever I want to go look at the rocks. Hopefully you guys can't hear that dog barking in the background. Hopefully the music covers it up. There's been a dog barking this entire video. Gotta love neighbors sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, I don't think you guys will hear it. But just in case you do, I apologize for that. And hopefully it's not driving you insane. There's this ghost dog bark in the background. I'll try to get rid of it as best I can. So I think you won't even hear it when well, now you'll hear it since I'm drawing attention to it. You'll be like, oh, now I hear it every time he barks. I think once I add the music, nobody's going to notice. But if you do, again, I'm sorry. But it's neighbors. What can I say? You got to live with them. You could probably say the same thing about me. There's Chris out there with his power tools. What's he doing now? Jeez. That guy. Doesn't he know it's 20 degrees outside? That's the best time to work. I mean, my theory is you can always put on more clothes, but you can only take so many off and still be respectable. So I'd rather work when it's 20 degrees outside than it to be 90. Especially in Kansas, we get humid and we get mosquito-y. Well, that's not true for all of Kansas. at least the mosquitoes. We get hot. Not Texas hot. I did live in Texas. Oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to get out. I'm sorry, Texas, but I can't. I have a lot of friends from Texas, but I cannot stand their climate. It is always hot. And just to clarify, it was East Texas as well, so that's like the worst. You know, you get the heat of Texas mixed with the humidity of Louisiana. So it's terrible. Kansas is more mild, so I like Kansas. But yeah, our summers still get pretty warm, and it's again, I'd rather be outside when I can just put on more layers than, you know, be out there and for most of the work I do, I'm probably gonna wear long pants. So, you know, long pants and, you know, short sleeves. I mean, there's no way. It's hot. It's terrible. Give me a 20-degree day and a pair of coveralls, you know, and over you know 100 hot days. Anyway, so yeah, we got our first level of our exhibit here, kind of plotted out. Just kind of going through, painting it, smoothing everything out, kind of blending it with the rocks here, the creek layer. Like I said, I wanted to create kind of layers. Maybe amphitheater probably wasn't the best word, because amphitheater, I think, is more gently slope up and out. Maybe this is more, I don't know, layer cake like. but as you're going up to the layers, I wanted to change the ecosystem just slightly. So, you know, down here it's the wet. Really kind of cooler. You've got a lot of water, you know, coming off the mountain, so it kind of keeps things cool, damp. You have a lot of ferns, you have a lot of moss. Next layer will kind of be more like what you would expect from a mountain forest, and then the final layer, which we don't get to in this episode, but that will be the more like mountain meadow kind of thing. So yeah, we kind of create these layers going up. I also wanted to add another water element, starting from the top of the mountain, because the mountain's going to be snow-capped. You know, it's kind of like a little trickling stream of snow melt, kind of running all the way down through the exhibit, just kind of giving you a little bit of motion kind of going through the entire exhibit. So you kind of have a leading line that you can follow the main waterfall down, and then you'll see this little creek, and then you'll follow that back up through the exhibit. You know, just kind of applying a little bit of fancy schmancy art here. I use these different color rocks. I believe they're the tundra ones, just to kind of give an illusion that, you know, they're wet. Give them a little bit of a different texture. I wanted to create some small ones. I didn't want any large ones exposed, even though I'm grabbing rock number 7 here. Again, it's my favorite rock. On its side, it actually looks pretty good. It looks like a whole bunch of rocks and kind of just a smooth rock layer that's kind of been exposed, which is exactly what I was kind of going for with all of the little boulders, and this has kind of made it easy. You know, I was able to cheat and just drop down 2 rocks instead of like 200. But anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to create a little tiny section here that's it looks wet, but it doesn't look like it flows all that much. You know, it just kind of flows some of the time. which is exactly kind of what I wanted to do. So I think I did a good job. Of course, you know, you're more than welcome to criticize me, but it looked pretty to me. Yeah, just kind of putting down one little fountain piece here. Again, just kind of give it that look like it's moving now. But it's not always moving. Again, that's why we just want this little tiny spillway, creekway, streamway, whatever we can call it here. But it's, you know, it went down to the rock layer. It moved the soil out of the way, but you know, it doesn't do a whole lot. And then it kind of, the idea here is that it's flowing under those rocks and kind of trickling out, dispersing through it, and that's why there's this now ferny line, I guess maybe we could call it, like a fern line, starting at the where the water ends and kind of going down, because I imagine it kind of dispersing as it hits these rocks, and it's no longer a single stream, but now just kind of a dampening of all those rocks. It just kind of weaves and goes wherever it can find a way out. Again, yeah, just drop down a whole ton of ferns here. Still trying to keep the illusion that this area down here is wet. More rainforesty, maybe you could call it. You know, again, more Pacific Northwest style of landscape here. And then drop down the Scots pines here, because they were just nice and tall, but not as tall as the redwoods. Because again, I want you to be able to look up and see what's going on. If I drop down some redwoods, well, then you're just going to see a redwood. The Scots pines have a really cool shape, so I think it makes a nice transition. You know, since I tuck them back here real close to the this little cliff face here, I think it makes a nice transition point, because they don't have a whole lot of leaves down on the bottom, or I guess needles down on the bottom. So you just kind of see the bark structure, and then you have the change in color of the pine needles above this layer, this cliff here, which I know we're not even looking at it right now, but I swear that's what it looks like. So yeah, I mean, you can see it there. The needles there are definitely a little bit different. And they're kind of more of a like pale green, as opposed to the pine trees, which are more of like a vibrant green. So I'm hoping that will be a visual cue, like, oh, something's changing. You know, it's getting a little bit different up there. So I wanted to make the path here where the animals would go, a little cattle trail here, as green as possible, but I also still wanted to define the cattle trail. So I'm being real careful here with the painting to make sure that the short grass still shows up, because I want that kind of be a look of moss. I don't want it to be looking dusty or dry there. So yeah, that's the I guess the first two layers. I was gonna call it the first layer, but I guess you can call the water the first layer, and then the landing up here the second layer, and then we'll have a couple more layers after that. And these rocks I'm just kind of placing down here are just temporary, so that I can let the animals up here and see what, you know, how they behave and act. Eventually, that side is going to look like there was a landslide that came off the mountain, and that will be the dividing wall between So we're going to have our Timber Wolves over here on the left, and then we'll have the doll sheep over there on the right. I didn't want it to look too much like a wall, you know, either like a cliff or something, but then I figured, make it look like a landslide, and that kind of makes a little more sense. And it also gives, you know, it'll look more natural to have a bunch of big piled up rocks that's impassable than just say, you know, those little cladding pieces stood up on side. Now I'm just kind of tucking in some the ivy here, just kind of make it look like there's a little bit of moss growing on the walls here, just kind of tucked here and there. Again, just kind of breaking up the texture, still kind of trying to create the illusion that this is very wet down here. There's just everything growing. You know, it's more rainforest biome than actual like Colorado Mountain. Because I mean, Colorado can be argued that it's a desert, so there's going to be a little bit of a clash in styles here. But I wanted to make this more Rocky Mountain National Park in the next couple layers. So really, I'm just trying to put all my favorite places into one exhibit here. I dropped this, I guess, 3 trees down a little bit lower, just to, I guess I undid it there, but I think I go back and drop them down. Maybe I don't remember. I'll just stop talking until I actually know what I'm doing again. But anyway, we're getting close to the end of the video here. I don't think there's a whole lot more that I place in on this video. So I'm going to say, see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll close out with these cinematics. Bye.